Mike's Music Method. What is going on, everybody? Good to see you out there. Welcome. So today we are going to, what are we going to talk about? We are going to talk about what sounds boring, but I promise it's a lot of fun, and I'd argue very helpful for any songwriter or just anyone looking to understand music. And I hope in the first 5 minutes of this, I will make that apparent and obvious to you. We're going to talk about scale degrees. So if you haven't gone through my Travis picking primer, I would maybe start there. You don't have to watch that video. Basically, all you need to have an understanding of is a major scale. I have another video, what the heck is a major scale, over here, but just look it up. A scale is made up of steps. The major scale is whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. And the way you can think about that is you got open string on your guitar. Start with any note. You go 2 frets as a whole step, another 2, then a half, then a whole, and a half. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. 2, 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 1 are the frets. And so each one of those is a scale degree. Now, in olden times in Europe, you had solfege, which I just sang, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. I don't know why. We're dumb, just like the metric to the imperial. Why we changed that, I don't know. We should all have kept it because now we have E, F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C sharp, D sharp, E. You sound like a moron when you sing it. It doesn't sound pretty. It's not phonetically nice with the vowel sounds. Don't know why we changed it. So dumb, but that's another topic. But each one of these scale degrees, think of it as a color. So when you're doing music, you are painting a picture. That's going to be my metaphor. Your chord is like the canvas. So if I have a G chord, imagine that's blue. Now I have all these different notes, right? In a scale, there's 7 of them. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti. And I can paint with each one of these 7 colors over a blue canvas. But then when you change the chord, you're kind of changing a bit of the background color of that canvas. You know, now maybe the canvas is red. Those 7 notes are going to look totally different. So keep that in mind. But what we're going to discuss is that palette that we have available to us, those 7 notes. So instead of doing do, re, mi, we can also just give them numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's do it in the key of G. That's also why you want to watch that Travis picking primer, because we'll build on that idea. So the key of G, I'm just going to do the 3rd string open. We'll do it up high. Open 2, then on the 2nd string, open 1, 3, then on the 1st string, open 2, 3. That's a G major scale. Pause the video, make sure you can play that, make sure you're comfortable with it, and also think about the notes in it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And get used to where each one is. This is 1, this is the 5, here's the 4, here's the 3, here's the octave 1, here's the 6, here's the 7. So you're comfortable with where all of those are. Now in songwriting, we can think of it kind of like writing, or kind of like reading a story, like compare it to literature. In literature, we have moments of conflict, but then it's resolved. And that's what makes a story interesting. You can think of it as dissonance versus consonance. You can think of it as a question, and then it's answered. Tension, resolve, right? You have all these different words. This happens in all sorts of art forms, not just in music. It happens in life, in love, in your faith journey, whatever it may be. Now, once you get comfortable with all those notes, the order of how to start juggling these things is that the 1, the 3, and the 5 are kind of like home. And the 2, 4, 6, and the 7, I'm referring to the scale degrees, are your tensions or your conflicts. Oversimplification, but let's just see how far this can go alone. So what I should do is drone a G, right? It's hard to do both together, but you can go on YouTube and put in G drone, and it's just gonna be boom. You're just gonna hear that low G. So listen to my color palette while I have that G underneath it. I've got all these nice colors to to play with. Backwards. Now I'll show what I mean. When I play the first scale degree, it's super resolved, right? I'm playing a G in the bass, the chord, right? I'm applying is G, and I'm playing a G in the melody. So of course, we're at home. That's the answer. We're resolved. There's no conflict, there's no tension, there's no dissonance here. Now listen to the 2. Ooh. So let me just make up a random phrase. I'll play a bunch of notes and end on 2, right? We call that a musical phrase. Question, right? A little bit of dissonance. And then I'll make up another phrase and end it on 1. Hey, how about that? So just having that simple idea in mind, I'm going to have a musical phrase and end on 2, land on another musical phrase that's 1, and built in you already have this timeless tradition. This is used in a zillion different folk songs. So I'll give you a few examples. I'll just make them up on the spot. There's the 2, the tension. There's the resolve on 1. 2 is tense. And there it's resolved. This is used, again, a bunch of old folk songs utilize this. I probably should have wrote some down to give you guys some examples. But start to mess around with that idea. From there, so one reason I'm doing this is because I want to do a whole bunch of other videos on analyzing melody. And if you guys don't have this basic stuff down, it's going to be hard for me to let's analyze why this Townes melody is so beautiful. Because if you guys don't have the foundation for it, it's going to be difficult for me to even teach a lesson on it. So that's why I'm bringing this up. And it's just an amazing songwriting tool. So when I'm ending on that 2, in the key of G, it's an A. Now the chord that comes to mind that's more of a tension that is away from home is the 5 chord. So that would be a D, right? G, A, B, C, D. This is super common. So when you go to that 2, you could change it to a D chord. You don't have to. There's other options. You could change it to an A minor, all sorts of things. But just listen to how this sounds. So my generic melody is do 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 do. So you have the tension that ends there, and then it resolves on the 1. Tension on 2, resolve on 1. But I can also emphasize that tension by changing away from the home chord. Bum, 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 bum. It almost sounds like you've heard the song before. You already know it. Let's try that one. Da 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 da. And all of those were like some kind of musical phrase. Then it goes down to 1. Then I'll end it on 2. Then we'll go back to 1. And it is timeless. And whether or not Prine or Townes or Cohen or Dylan are thinking about this in a theoretical way, I don't care. You shouldn't care. No one really cares. But they intuit it. And some of us don't have that gift from God, right? We don't have this intuitive ability to just know all this whole question answer scheme. You know, to some extent your ear hears it, otherwise you wouldn't enjoy music, right? It's in there. We all have ears and a soul that feels the emotion in that we feel the struggle or the conversation or whatever intensity that dissonance is at. But we all know it, and a good songwriter knows it very deeply. And for those of us who don't, we can use all this stuff as an amazing crutch to help us get better at songwriting and to understand songwriting. And I promise, when I start going into melodies, this stuff is going to blow your frickin' mind. You're just going to be like, wait, what? Like, there's the tension, there's the resolve. Like, it's going to be so obvious, I promise you, that you're going to be like, how did I not see this? Or why did no one ever tell me this? This is how I felt when I learned about it. Of course, there's certain genres of music that break all these rules, but for folk music, it is incredibly surprising. Question, answer, you're just gonna, it's surprising just how simplistic it can be. And I hope that, for me, this only enhances music. It's not like It makes it mathematical. I've said this before. I do not think of music as math. I don't want to... Sure, it's formulaic, but I also don't think of it as a formula because I'm pouring my emotion into it when I'm songwriting. So there's always that aspect of the lyrics or how I'm singing it or the dynamic of how I'm playing it. So even if these elements may seem formulaic, it's still a small part of the music. But at the same time, it's a huge part because it's always in there. You almost can't avoid doing it, even if you don't know the formula and the scale degrees, because your songs would just be boring and stupid if they didn't have any tension and they didn't have any resolve. So I don't want to make this video too long. I just wanted to introduce that idea. Now again, remember at the beginning I said all the consonant or the resolves or the home, the answers are 1, 3, and 5. So it doesn't always have to be the G. So let's go to the 3, G, A, B. So that's open on the 2nd string, my 3rd scale degree in the key of G is my home. Now let's do a different dissonance or a different tension. I said it was 2, 4, 6, and 7. Let's do 4. So 4 will be my, right, that note C is my dissonance, so kind of tense. And it's resolved. A little bit of a tension. Not the prettiest melody, but you get the idea. It's still built in there. You can still kind of hear that. So let that G go again. Let me try a different one. Yeah. Tension on the 4. Give the consonants on the 3. When you go to the 3, it doesn't always feel as resolved. Again, all sorts of nuance and subtlety, but it's still in there. You have a moment of tension, a little further away from the tonic, which is G, or the root, right? Tonic's a fancy word for it. A little further away, bring it back home. Sometimes you'll stack them. You'll do like a dissonant, dissonant, then an answer. Tension, tension, answer. So it'll be a phrase and then another phrase, and neither are answer. They both kind of leave you hanging. And then you're finally given the resolve. Endless variation in all this. Let's do 6 to 5. So the 6 is the E, the 5 is the D. Tense. Resolve. Tense on the 6. Resolved on the 5. I'm just making up random ones just to show you that even if your melody is bad, that those ideas alone can frame it. And that's the way a lot of people improvise too. You can do that stuff all day. I'll jump out of position here just to show you. Like in the pentatonic, question, answer on 1, right? Question, answer. And you can just frame your solos like that all day and have fun with it. There's the answer. Question, answer. And blues guys riff on that stuff all day long, and you don't have to spend too much time thinking about your riff. I'm not saying those sounded great, but they don't sound bad. They always work because I know I can play any note in the scale, any note in the scale, end on a tension, any note in the scale, end on a resolve, and that alone is almost enough phrasing to have it sound okay, right? Not always going to sound great, but okay, and it moves and it gets a desired effect. And then from there, you can fine-tune the notes in between if you want to, if you're not improvising, but songwriting. And that's it. That's what I'm trying to say. Let's go back to the example, because I do want to put it in the place of chords, because it'll sound even stronger. So when I was going to the 4, there's my tension, and then resolving on the 3, the B. So if I'm in the key of G, well, I'm playing a C. I'll just play a C there, right, on the tension. So da da bum bum, da da bum bum, da da dum dum, da da dum dum. You can't help but feel it, right? You know that the tension, ba da ba bum. You kind of know where I'm going, da da dum dum. again, whether you know it or not, it's tension and it's resolved, and that's why it's my screen froze, and that's why it's so satisfying. And this, yeah, sorry, I'm thinking, but I'm pretty sure that was all I want to cover. I don't want to overwhelm you in this video, but start messing around with those ideas. You know, write a phrase that ends on 2 and then ends on 1. Write a couple of those phrases. After you write them, try some different chords over them. Right when you end the phrase on 2, that note's an A, so consider what chords can go with that note. Like what chords in the key have the note A in them. Some people are totally going to understand this. This is why it's also hard to make these videos. I don't know what skill level you're on. I don't want to bore the more advanced people, but I don't want to leave people who don't know what they're doing on the guitar like in the dust. So comment below on this one, please, because let me know where you're at with this, what makes sense, what doesn't. It's a really valuable skill and also so much fun. Like sometimes I'll just write melodies with this stuff in mind. Like, I don't have any emotional content right now that's pouring out of me, so let me just, do some generic idea to get started on a melody. And I also do this great thing called melody theft, where I'll totally mimic, I'll take like a great John Prine song and be like, oh, he goes from 6 is a tension, then he goes to 5. And then the next one is 4-3. It's like, oh, I'm just going to steal that. I won't play the same chords, I won't do the same rhythm, but I'll just steal that skeleton, the skeleton of the scale degrees, I'll call it. And I'll steal that, and it's amazing how often it works and how these things are just like tried and true. And there's like an archetype. There's something in it that works. Sure, you can say mathematically, but also works like on an emotional level. And you can explain it however you want, but we all know. We all know why it works, because we're given music is a gift to us. Let's be honest. Even for you non-believers, come on, there's something going on. You know it. You know it. You can't explain it otherwise. It's from our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. All right, I'll stop. I won't beat you over the head about it. But I'll end the rant. Again, please comment below. In the very near future, I will be analyzing the speed of the sound of loneliness, so you guys can see this concept in an actual song. But here I wanted to give it abstract. So one more time, your homework, write some melodies that end on 2 and then end on 1. So you have 2 musical phrases. Then try 4-3. That's the 4, the 3. Another fun one is 7 up to 1, because that's really tense. Especially with the G and the bass. That 7 is really tense. So satisfying when you resolve it up to the 1. 7. Satisfied. I've read before that it was Chinese, some kind of Chinese torture. This is probably totally BS, but they would just play this over and over again. It's like the dripping water on your forehead. I don't know, it's probably all malarkey. But that's my video. Let me know how it went. I'm gonna stop rambling. Practice writing little phrases. This is like the longest ending. I feel like I've been trying to end this for a long time, but I feel like I'll need to keep expressing it to you. Just stop the video whenever you want. If you understand the content, stop. If you're still like, what is Mike talking about? Maybe in one of these random thoughts that come in my head, I'll express it more clearly the 7th time, but I don't know that I will. Just take your color, here I go again though. Take your color palette of all your 7 colors, experiment with that. What happens when you do blue the first time, then red? What's that emotion? You do orange and then green. So you have all these colors and you can set up the tension and the resolve. So experiment. Get a drone. Go to YouTube. Put in G drone, because it's hard to do both, right? Maybe you can. I'm just droning that G and I'm experimenting, right? 2 is a question. 3 is an answer. I'll do 2 tensions in a row. There's 2. There's 4. Then I tension, tension, resolve. There's the tension. There's a resolve on the 5. 4 is the tension. 1 is the resolve. Just experimenting with that. Sometimes you can do a resolve to a resolve, right? Because the 1, 3, and the 5, the 1 is the most home-like. You can do 3 and then to 1. Right? There's still different degrees of home. So to say 1, 3, and 5, they're not the same, right? They're all different kinds of answers. That one's a very clear answer, right? It's the same exact note, so of course, where the 3, it's an answer. It might not be as satisfying as this, though. Now, that's way more of a very direct answer. The 5, that's kind of like, Mike's music method gave me the answer. Whoa, that was a real authority giving you the answer on 1. So you get the idea. Tensions are the same way. 7 is the most tense because you're 1 half step away from there. So you have those 2 notes next to each other, which, it's intense. Listen when they're close together. Oh, that's not the right note. Right? G and F sharp. Then just 7 up to 1. And that's how I want you to start thinking about scale degrees. They have a function. And then it gets more complex when you add chords to them, but we're not going to do that in this video. I'm done for real this time. Have a great day, guys. I hope you're doing well. 2022, I promise to keep bringing you great content. And keep supporting because you know who you are, guys. For real, thank you so much. This is like, I love doing these videos. I've never enjoyed, I don't even call it work, but I love doing this. I love bringing this stuff to you guys. So thanks for supporting me. I hope to keep bringing you tons of great content in 2022. It's going to be a fun year. God bless you all. Ciao. Mike's music method.